I got a lot to live up to here. I'm honored to have everybody here. Just, showing up for each other. No, not yet. Just showing up for each other is our human connection, is our human power, is what gives us the community. We can't choose the families we were born in, but when when people, human beings, gravitate towards each other, then this is our soul family, and that I so appreciate. Okay, where do I start? I guess I'll start with this. All right, my beginnings. I was born, I don't know if you can tell I have an accent, but I was born in the South. And at the time, my father, who worked for the federal government, was transferred to the Panhandle of Florida. So I was born in Marianna, Florida, and I spent my few years there, but primarily I was raised in Fitzgerald, Georgia, which is both my parents were where they were raised. So all throughout my beginnings of my life, I'm in rural agriculture settings, the Bible Belt, and but my parents and my grandparents were all into music. They sang. I had a piano in my house. I was playing it as soon as I could, hit the keys. And my parents loved. They loved the swing era because that's where they were. They were born in the 20s, so by the 40s they were dancing the jitterbug and all of that. So I would have that kind of music. I would see them dance. My two older sisters, one. I have the 50s and the 60s music in my life. So music from, all throughout the era, I just absorbed, and it was a part of me. And I remember as a kid seeing hippies, which I loved. Probably why I wear things I do. And I remember the Vietnam War, the news on that, and but the most important thing for me is I didn't realize how much art had been infused in my life, not only through my family, but even in the small town of Fitzgerald, we had art culture center. I had after-school art programs. From the 4th grade to the 8th grade, from elementary to junior high, I was playing saxophone in the school orchestra, and then always having the piano lessons. And so it was just constantly how much art has been a part of my life. And thanks to CreativeZen and giving me this opportunity, I realized that was, why, there's so much in there. So along with that, growing up in the South, a part of me was there was just this division, and I didn't understand it because nobody talked about it. You got to be a good Christian. You got to this, that, and the other thing. Love one another, and you felt things that were different. And when I was 14, Alex Haley's book Roots was on a mini-series on TV. And all of a sudden, I learned about the transatlantic slave trade, and I busted a gut. I mean, I was exploded. All of a sudden, my world came together. Of what I felt undercurrent, why the stores were still divided, why the churches were still divided, and why the high school dances were still divided. All that, and I was this is messed up. Why I was living a lie that I didn't even know because people just wouldn't come out and say the truth, which we are experiencing it today, which is so in parallel. And I know so many people can relate to this and see that division. And it's you can't hide the truth, no matter how much the stories are not saying it. And when, and people are going to be pissed like me and blame society. And it's that's what I did. And I was So that being a part of me also affects who I am and my art. And also, as a kid, as you know, I was like super sensitive. Like, you know, things would be wrong and I would just be like, why are they wrong? You know, my dad was an alcoholic, not an abusive one, but still emotionally, it just like wrenched our family. And I was like, and then from like being in a small town and you can't really go anywhere in elementary school, or like I was like from 4th grade to 7th grade, I was bullied. And you would think that, you know, just don't be, you know, go around them anymore and all that. But we went to the same church and all of that. And I was like, one day they're going to see who I am and like accept me and I can be a part of the group. And I kept like, it was just a repetition of that. And I'm like, girl, you got to get over it. And I don't know if it's just being a Taurus and I'm like so determined that I'm going to win them over, you know, like, I don't know. But in any case, so that was like my beginnings, from the art as well as like trying to figure myself out in some way, or you know, needing to. And so when I was 18, I moved to Jacksonville, Florida. I like found my own furnished apartment. I worked odd jobs to pay my rent, and that's what I felt that I needed to do. And I didn't like, I did art on the side all the time. Even in high school, I sold art, but it was never like, I mean, because, you know, that was more like there and I was able to have that as a release. But when I was on my own, I just did art. I didn't, like, my parents would have supported me to go to college and get into the arts. But I wasn't drawn to it. And so I did what I needed to do, and like I was growing up as an adult, finding myself. And most important is that I was paying my own rent and taking care of, you know, myself in that way, which meant it was, you know, it was very important for me. So eventually I moved south to Fort Lauderdale and had friends there, had family in Miami, and it was work. It was where I met Dave. And, but I was still working like waitressing, and I ended up spending most of my, say, 20s and 30s as working for an insurance agency. And I eventually got my license. And what I liked about that was that I like really loved connecting with people. Like I was selling homeowners and mobile home insurance, so I was learning Quebecois and connecting to the Canadians that were coming down here, and just being able to have that connection with people is what I really appreciated. I was volunteering for Habitat for Humanity, getting involved in boards like the Broward County Board on Human Rights, and Robin Bartleman, a prior school board member, had hired me for one of the school board committees on human rights. So I had was drawn to those type of committees and glad I had an opportunity to serve on them. And then at this insurance agency, I was there for 14 years, started from zero, no customers, to like one of the largest insurance agencies here in South Florida. And Dave was saying, hey, you know what? They are paying you too low, you know, the salary. And I'm like, but I really like what I'm doing. And then when they started hiring new people and they were paying them the same salary as I was getting paid after 14 years, I'm like, you know, like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm quitting. And so I looked for other insurance agencies thinking that that was going to be my path. But life opens up where, you know, you keep trying, pushing and all this, and where the avenues are supposed to open, they open. And I couldn't find another agency job. And Dave's mom, who's a social worker, says, hey, why don't you go to college or university and become a social worker? And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm not into therapy and this one-on-one thing. And then she goes, but there's a macro level of social work, working with organizations and systems and changing and human rights issues and changing things like that. And I'm like, that sounds really good. So, in 2003, I ended up getting my AA from 2003 to 2009. My AA with a minor in arts and French, and then my bachelor's in social work, master's in social work, and at FAU they don't have a macro program. So I was like, how am I going to do this? And so I asked them for my electives, could I take sociology, political science, and learn about the world in that way? And that's how I got more of my international knowledge in reference to that. So I graduate 2009. It's a recession. But throughout, even with going through the university, I was involved in clubs. And so my art was still, I was doing art projects through clubs and all of that, and still, doing art on the side. I didn't want to forget about that. So no one, everybody that had doctorate degrees were now getting hired for the entry levels because everybody needed a job. History repeating itself again now. So there were some small startup organizations, some international organizations that I was able to get with. So I worked for 2 anti-human trafficking organizations and building capacity for them. And I worked for, Just
step a little bit more that. Perfect.
Sorry.
You're good, no worries.
Okay. And I worked for a Haitian-based organization on HIV/AIDS. They were radio journalists based out of Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and that they were trying to expand here in South Florida and Miami and Broward. So I was fortunate to be able to be a part of this organization after the earthquake in 2010 in Haiti. We had a chance to go there, and the radio journalists were then able to help spread the messages on how to get food, what the Haitian community needed in order to find basic, some small jobs and to be able to survive. And so it was, and also if you'll notice here on the top, you can't really tell, but that's where people that know the artist Rose Primavera, that's when I met her. And that's how we were connected from way back at that time in 2010. So having the opportunity to work with these particular organizations, then I had a skill set that FAU wanted to hire me as an adjunct to teach global citizenship. And that was just like really great because my classes would go like this, and they would all be sitting. It was a foundation course. So I had freshmen to seniors. I had people that were living in their cars just to be able to go to school, and the ultra rich. And I would create conversations because if they could start understanding and understanding people's stories, and it was at that time I could keep the class. There was it wasn't like so much anger. As I don't think I could do that today, but at the time I could. And so then, if somebody said something and they didn't agree or they had another perspective, they would be able to talk about it. And that was incredible. And then there, at the same time, Syrian families that had been escaping Assad's regime were now being resettled over here, some in Palm Beach County, and I'd met a family and they were like, we would love to come to your class and talk about who we are and why we had to flee, so that people understood the immigration process and the needs to have people come into our country. And these type of dynamics that I was able to see and feel like I was able to create gave me that epiphany. that I know what to do with my art as a business. And by that time, it was 2018 when I got this epiphany, and Broward County Cultural Division was having the DBA doing art as an entrepreneur. And I'm like, how great is that? That I could start learning the basics, the fundamentals of having an art business. So that was in June of 2019. Okay, this particular screen was my family's screen back in the 50s and 60s. That's why we got the, like, all kinds of ripples and all of this. But in honor of them, that this is what we're looking at here. So in June of 2019 is when I and Dave and I both got the the foundation of our art businesses. And then by October the 1st, I already had all of my business, like everything set, from the city, the state, to the the country, of getting everything like set to like be a legitimate business. And one of my first art exhibitions as a business was at Art Serve, where we, as the artists that had attended the program, were having an opportunity to have an exhibition together. And so the shoes that I created were all in reference to human rights issues: women's rights, trans rights, LGBTQ+ rights, immigration. At the same time I was doing all of this, I was also had been going down to Miami, where the children had already been separated from their families, and we were holding up people's Alexandra had created these huge signs of hearts, and we were holding them up, and the little children were, and doing it back, because at least they were being seen, no matter how bad they were treated. And some people's families never got put back together. They don't even know. So, which is happening now. And the only way to push back on this shit is to do what we do, no matter who we are, the creativity that we have. If we feel it, we got to live it, because it's, our world is as big as we come in contact with. And even if it's somebody that we pass in the store, and I'm a Haitian clerk or something, or a stock person, and I'll go, "Comment y?" And they look at me like, "Oui bien," in amen, this, how about you, kind of thing. And I'm like, "Oui bien," like I'm fine, or just "Oui bien." So between Haitian Creole and French, I can get through it. And but the fact that they are being seen, and that they are being acknowledged as a human being, if it's just for that moment, because we don't know what people are going through, and not just to be so wrapped up in my own world that I can't see other people and affect the world in that way.
We're not done. You're not done. Make sure you stand up.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You're good.
So part of the DBA is that we all that attended that particular event got put into the Art Hype magazine, which I was going to check to see if they were still around. I'm not sure. Philip saying no, so they're not, but that was a good magazine. Then because of the elections coming up, what I wanted to do was find people in Broward County. Sometimes, we get ideas and we just want to create events, and then we just find the space after that, right? So I reached out to 4 groups disenfranchised in their ability to vote in Broward County, and I asked, and this is how I normally do all of my work when I'm telling other people's story, is that, would you mind me telling your story? How would you like it told? I would like to do it on shoes, and I'll draft it out, and then you give me the okay, and you give me the words that you want me to say when I'm at an exhibition, and if you don't happen to be there, then I can say what you would want. and describe it. And so I interviewed someone from Colombia, so it was an immigration, a woman that was formerly incarcerated in reference to voting, a transgender person who with ID and being able to get to the ballot box, and then an indigenous person here in Broward. So I had the opportunity to create this exhibition with their help, and then of course they got the shoes as a thank you. The next was because of the immigration work that I was doing in reference to immigration justice, I ended up going to Broward Transitional Center, which is here, of course, right here in Broward County, that was detaining people. And at the time, we could go and visit. It was part of a volunteer visiting group. And I learned, I didn't know anything about immigration detention, but I knew it was wrong. People seeking asylum have the right to seek asylum. So I just went there, and then I was sitting across the table from them, which I'm sure they're not allowing, and these days. And people would say, my family doesn't know where I am. I've just crossed the border, and now I'm been put in detention, and so I need an attorney. I need to have my family contacted. I need food, money for the commissariat, the machine, because the food's moldy. And and so I was able to at least do that. And through those stories, then I was able to share them through my art. And Loveland happened to call me, I guess once people that are known to help those seeking asylum, their phone numbers get passed around. Loveland called me on the southern border of Mexico and saying, all I need is just someone, an attorney, to meet me when I get to the northern border. And I found the attorney, and eventually she was able to gain asylum, and has a boy now. But in the meantime, to be able to raise money for attorney fees, I asked would she like me to tell her story, and she gave me that opportunity. And so I don't know if you can see it, but in the upper right-hand corner is the Muslim Brotherhood that attacked her and her girlfriend in a bar. The girlfriend shielded Loveland. The girlfriend died, but Loveland was able to escape from Africa. She ended up then going to the border, calling me, and then the tree is the tree of life. So and I was able to raise a little bit of money, but now that she's, everything is good, and I just last month sent the actual painting to her. It was like 24 by 36, and she has put it on her wall, and she calls me back in voicemail, thank you, because I will always remember my story. Well, I'm not sure she wouldn't forget, but it's in honor of her story. All right, so at Plunge Beach Resort, which has been really supportive of the artist and up and coming artist, Ellen Cohen-Berman, the curator there, had asked me to do a project with her, and it was because she's a ceramicist also, and she says, I'm looking to have 2 superheroes created with these busts. And one is like a known superhero, and the other one is a made-up one that you can create. So we all know Harley Quinn, and this is when she said, screw you, Joker, because I'm going on my own, right? So that's the women empowerment there. But the other one is called Ova Avenger. And the time that this was created was at the same time that Roe versus Wade was getting overturned. So the people out in the streets were holding signs. So as you can see, this is the uterus, the fallopian tubes going into it, and the shield that goes down are also little scrolls of fallopian tubes. And in those tubes are written words taken from the signs and the voices of those in the street. So it's like it's like a piece of many voices and power in that. Then through Plunge, I was referred to by one of the team members that work with the Florida Panthers that do like massage therapy, physical therapy, that group of people. And one of the particular Florida Panthers reached Ironman status, meaning that they had played 1,000 games without missing a game. And I'm like, sure, I'm happy to do it. Like, we take on jobs, they're like, okay, we'll figure it out. Never paid it on, these are like, well, I don't know, $1,000 worth, the CCM skates are like really, like the regular professional skates. I don't even know how much they cost. And then, so working with the team, I was able to draft what they wanted. And then Keith Yandel, who was the person that received them, was, is pictured there too. And it was like, even on the side of being able to have, getting opportunities to do commissions have been, really great opportunity for that. So, because of the community, being involved in community, Broward Culture Division has been a great place in order to get grants. So, some grants hit it, some grants don't. For us artists, we can't take it personal with rejection, because we put our heart and soul into everything. And like somebody rejected me, and then to be able to it's not about me, right? And part of it is, it was it's always a growth for me to then be able to move past. And so in this particular case though, the LA Lee YMCA was just being built. And it was being built in the Sistrunk area where the first black hospital was. So it was a really, really special place that this YMCA was going to hopefully serve the community. And I thought, well, wouldn't this be great to create a community art workshop on Their Souls Live On? And it got accepted. And that's the final. This is like, 8 foot by 4 or 5 foot mural that's still hanging in the YMCA. Some of the shoes aren't there though because the families did take them. The ones that didn't get taken are still there. But it still looks good. So now, okay. So this is an idea of the families getting together, and what it was is that the essence of the workshop was that the families would come, get a shoe, and then create designs or words honoring someone in their family or a friend of the family that had passed. So that's what everyone was working on in groups in order to honor a person that was meaningful to them. My other opportunity to get a support grant from Broward Cultural Division, and I say this in hoping that it spurs ideas for everyone in order to advance their own business and art if this is what you want to do, or these ideas. But FIFA had just announced that we were coming to the Americas, and I thought, oh, this will be great in order to do a soccer project and have each of them have their own soccer balls, and then they could paint on them. So this was also one of those, like, you knew it was meant to be. Not only did I was able to get the grant for this, but I was looking for a space in order to do it. And there was a new turf, a soccer ball turf, a field that had just been created for this rec center in Pompano. But the kids, the after-school kids in the recreation in the recreation center that went there every day weren't able to play on the field because they had all the city leagues coming to play on it, and they didn't have a chance to play. So I didn't know that. When I called the director there, I was like, is this something that you would love? And she goes, I've been wanting to do this for years and, have soccer here, prior to even the new field. And this is great. It was like a meant to be. And just as a side note, when I do these type of projects that are not in my community, first off, talent is universal, opportunity is not. When I'm not in my community, I always have hire an assistant within the community, like an assistant, a co-leader, so that is that person giving instructions, not me. So I'm really conscious of my space and not creating dynamics that we're trying to equalize. Also, the soccer ball, like this one here too, that I created the design on, are fair trade. That they don't use slave labor, and then whatever emissions that are, given off during the manufacturing process, a tree is planted, so they offset emissions. And also, like being a social impact artist, I have to go deep. I can't just grab things cheaply, but I have to find things that are going to have the less impact on our world, because that's what I'm representing. It's like my core. So the shoes were also the shoes I paint on, that if someone says, yes, I want some shoes, I order from a fair trade shoe company that look like Converse, but aren't. Now this is like the children. There was 2 sets of kids for the after-school program. The younger ones from like 3 to 7, and then 8 to 13. Okay, and this is the project was painting the soccer balls, and then the last day we had a grand event for the families to come to the stadium, and then they were able to do scrimmage games and play and be on the field. All right, computer. All right, my sister asked me to illustrate a children's book for her. She was like elementary education teacher for reading for like 30 years. And so she created this beautiful book about a child's view during COVID. And she goes, I would like you to illustrate it. And I'm like, I can't. I'm not an illustrator. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to do it. And you've had to find somebody that's going to do your story justice and do it the right way and know what they're doing. And she wouldn't accept no for an answer. And I'm like, okay. I never, I know you were stubborn in ways. So I looked up what an illustrator was supposed to do, their responsibility. And the biggest thing I got from it was that they were supposed to tell the story for those who couldn't read, even like the young toddlers that were, not able to read but look at pictures. I did that through 12th grade because I didn't like to read. No, but so I said, okay, I will do this, but let me just draw some drafts, see if you even like what I'm going to create, and we'll go from there. And then you're going to pay me. And she did. So that's how this all came about. I've got books there if you want to thumb through it just to see it. You don't have, I'm like the only one selling them. She did it. She's like, I'm happy. And I'm like, well, what about, I thought you were going to get this out in the world. So I need to get it out in the world. And that's fine by me because, it's a good story. It really is a good story. Oh, and the caveat too is that the characters, even though the protagonist is a white little girl, everybody else is of color or different sexual orientation or has special ability, special abilities. I'm not sure, and reference the right term now for someone that has or in a wheelchair or needs extra assistance. I'm not sure. What's it? Special needs? I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure if that was the most current term. Huh? Unique abilities. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Excellent. So now, since last year, there is a decentralized movement of artists rising up against fascism. Because if we can't use who we are, be who we are, say who we are, then we can't live. So Fall of Freedom, falloffreedom.com is a place that people, artists, can go and say, listen, on specific dates. Last year it was in November, and then this year, May 1st and 2nd. Now the upcoming one is October the 2nd through the 4th. You don't have to do every event, every date, but if you're doing an event already, or you want to do an event and you want to plan it at this time, just tag Fall of Freedom on it. You go on their site, put your event on this national map, it gets advertised, and you're a part of this movement. Yes?
How many artists were part of yours? How many events people were involved in?
The first one was over 700 events all over the United States and in England and maybe other places. But now, it's like this is our time as artists, that if we want to be cohesive in our voice, we can do this here also. We're cohesive in our voice just as individuals, but this is a way to be, to broaden that and be a part of something, to truly give a force of saying, no, we ain't having this. And this is how the world should be. We should be acting like human beings, treating each other like who we are and what we deserve to be treated, and not discriminated in any way, to be able to advance ourselves forward and not get burdened with all this shit that's happening and all the negativity that's forced on us to try to accept in the aggression. More love is definitely, and our gentle energy is more powerful than any hate. And we can cut through it quicker than anything. And that is our power. So if, this is my work here, where you can find me if you want to. I've got my business card there. I'm open to any questions.
Real quick. That was amazing. So thank you very much, and that was good timing on the clap. I wanted to do one thing before we turn it over to the questions that we haven't done in a long time. I would like you to turn to one of those people that you did not come with and just have a brief exchange about what we just experienced and what just happened and what you just took from Vicki's talk. So somebody that you didn't come with, just what your thoughts were and what just happened here in this room. Hey, Dana Kleiman, how about that?
Good to see you. Thank you.
I have a question about how do you set boundaries for yourself to not bring, you're hearing so many stories and you're working with so many people, and how do you, and making art about it, so it's, how do you set boundaries so it doesn't consume your life and yourself mentally happy?
That is an amazing question, because I think that applies for all of us, just hearing the news and all of that. So I really appreciate you saying that. And what my medicine is putting their story out there through art, being able to do the art and doing that. It's like my escape, but my way to push back at the same time. Like, am I on film?
We can edit
Okay,
that.
fuck you. This is what we're doing, and you're doing the wrong thing, and we need to, push back as hard as we can, because this is who we are.
Yeah.
That's my medicine. That's how I generate, I don't let it beat me down. It gives me energy to fight back. Like, you're not going to do this. And, we are, our world is as big as we come in contact with. And all it matters is who we affect, how we talk, how we represent ourselves and the art, and being able to get ourselves out there and talk about our art. And mine is kind of like telling the stories about people and that, but everybody in their own way of creating peace and how they want the world to be, and then be able to talk about that and getting that vibration out. All of it matters. All of it's powerful.
Yeah, let's go. Any other questions?
How do you, you are carrying so many stories and using your art to send messages. Is there a point through the process where you are evaluating the work or measuring success of the work or the impact? And so how do you?
I appreciate that too. I don't really measure success in reference to that, what I get back from it. Like when almost all of the shoes I created for those involved and caught up in the immigration system, detention system, is that if they have their shoes, like one was a doctor that had escaped in Africa, and he was living near DC, and he was involved in an immigration justice group up there, and he would go from congressperson to congressperson sharing his story so that they could change immigration issues, and laws. And every time he would go, he would have a presentation. He'd have his shoes there. And he would use his shoes as a way to convey, like, walk in my shoes. And so those type of an honor that people have come back to me and said, I won't wear them. They're too, like, they've put them in little plastic, little cases and things like that because of what it means. That's my how I get the feedback. But to know, like, the effect of it more than that, it's just like how they're able to use the shoes or what I do in the world to be able to tell their story. Did I answer the question good enough? Oh, okay, good.
So the ability to recognize that your art, the story, the message is out there, and
that's how it measures. Yeah.
It makes a difference.
I can't, monetarily, when I'm doing projects like this, which most are this way, unless then I'm fortunate enough to get a commission and then it helps offset this, is strictly because their story needs to be told, and I'm able to utilize my want to do that and tell the story.
So
Thank
Vicki's
you.
going to hang around. She does have the books, even though someone wasn't selling them as much as they should. But no,
Don't say that. Shouldn't be on.
Edit. Cut. But she has
I
her,
did it.
she has her
I
QR
already said
code.
it.
She has more information. Feel free to talk with her. Feel free to talk with the Zero Empty Spaces artist. We do this generally every second Friday morning of the month for the last 8 years. I will be out of the country on the second and third Friday next month, and then the first Friday was the 4th of July. So we are going to skip next month, but we'll be back in August, and I've got more great speakers. I'm always looking for more great speakers, so if you know somebody with a thought-provoking, relatable, inspiring story, be glad to hear it. This location is going to have their first open studios, which is a monthly event where more of the artists are present. The third Friday of every month from 4 to 7 p.m., so next Friday. So if someone wasn't able to make it, or you thought this was cool and you want to tell somebody, tell a friend to tell a friend. A lot of the artists are here. They've got really great energy. We're going to host other really great events here as well. We do podcasts with the artists and with the speakers. If you want to hear more of Vicki's backstory, you can find it on the Choose 954 podcast. If you want to hear more of the artist stories, Zero Empty Spaces podcast. And if you want more community things like this, me and some people here participate in something called Accent Club. That's a goal setting. Raise your hand if you're an Accent Club person. Yeah, how about that? It's a goal setting accountability mini mastermind group that we host for free every first Tuesday of the month at another really cool art space called the Infinity Hub in Pompano Beach that our friend Jordan Guzman started. You come with a goal, idea, a startup, a passion project, or none of those things, and we, the neutral third-party strangers in the room that become your friends, will help you accelerate those goals and ideas with no catch, no cult. Literally, we'll just give you action item and ideas and feedback, and we've been doing it now for almost 10 years, and we've literally had thousands of success stories, some of them in the room here right now. So that's Accent Club, and then last one, May was Mental Health Awareness Month. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Some of you know I'm part of a weekly men's group, a Conscious Weekly Men's Circle. It's therapeutic, but it's not like therapy. It's a safe space for accountability for us to show up for one another, because men need support too. We have an open meeting every third Wednesday night of the month in Hollywood, where we invite new men to come experience it if they're interested. So it's next Wednesday. If you're interested, reach out to me. We also host brunches, dinners, ways to get more community together. So if any of this interested you, don't hesitate to reach out and ask me any questions. If any of what she said interests you, all of her contact information is here.
Don't hesitate to contact me for any questions or any ideas you want to bounce off.
If you want to support Vicki monetarily, God bless you, her QR codes are there. And the last thing we like to do to wrap up here at CreativeZen for the last 8 years, from when we started with my friend Carrie Baker in 2018, God bless them, to now, all the way to Laura, who was last month's speaker, and Stella, who was a few months ago. We wrap up with a selfie with the speaker. You guys just sit there. Vicki, you come here.
Yep.
You guys don't got to do anything besides smile, maybe throw up a peace sign. Actually, maybe DJ, you come in the middle, and you get on this side here, Vicki. Hey, all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. I'll take the mic back.
Yes.
You did great. My mom approves.